Hello everyone, I welcome you all to the module 32nd of the course of UN SDGs. This module we are going to cover 4 units. First, Nodal Agency for Implementation in India. Second, Effective Strategy for Implementation in Indian Scenario. Third, State level reports. And fourth, Assessment of Implementation and checking its effectiveness. So, unit first, Nodal Agency for Implementation in India for SDGs is, you are aware of, is the NITI Aayog, right? So, let's see what NITI Aayog is and its objectives and features. So, NITI Aayog's objectives and features are divided here into the 4 parts. It works for design policy, program and frameworking, monitoring and evaluation, foster cooperative federalism at Indian level, national level, and fourth, think tank and knowledge and innovation hub. So, in objectives, let's see in detailed manner. Objective 1, to evolve a shared vision of national development priorities, sectors and strategies with the active involvement of states. Second, to foster cooperative federalism through structured support initiatives and mechanisms with the states on a continuous basis, recognizing that strong states make a strong nation. Third, to develop mechanisms to formulate credible plans at the village level and aggregate these progressively at higher levels of government. Well, there are a few more. Let me explain these. Yeah, so you can see here in the first one, there is a vision, like a shared vision of national development priorities. So how we can take our country forward at a much faster pace, and bringing everyone together is among the, a topmost priorities of NITI Aayog, right? And with that, it works with the involvement of, states of India, states and union territories together. Point 2, yeah, so it works to foster cooperative federalism. Like India is a federal country, maybe you can search it separately. Well, this word is not typically in much use in our country, but the nature of our union is this federalism. Federalism actually is a kind of a model of a governance which includes equally each and every state on the common platform and works accordingly with the togetherness, right? So that is a federal structure where every state is equally important, right? So this is this mechanism. So NITI Aayog actually is trying to enhance this structural mechanism also at Indian level, right? Yeah, mechanism with states on a continuous basis. Yeah, so strong states make a strong nation. Okay, so you see a very interesting underline a point over here. If every state is growing, definitely the whole country is also growing, right? So with this a purpose, NITI Aayog actually focuses on involving each and every state at parity to bring a nation to the forefront. To develop mechanisms to formulate credible plans at village level, this is very important. If you see this, an organization such as NITI Aayog, is focusing, and keeping villages as its main, a focal area is really amazing to see, because this is where still the majority of the India lives and comes from, right? And this is where actually the need for improvement also lies. A humongous a scale of intervention is required in these hinterlands, villages, rural areas, right? So NITI Aayog actually has kept villages as its focus, so that it can work a bottom up approach. All of these villages of the country definitely will boost up the whole a federal structure, and the whole country will be in a stronger a position. Fourth, to ensure on areas that are specifically referred to it that the interests of national security are incorporated in economic strategy and policy. Yeah, so a secure country, a safe country, can only guarantee freedom, a free, like a working opportunities, like a peaceful life, cohesive life, growth and development, etc. So a secure country is absolutely essential. If you see the, like a world history and different, countries also, some of the countries also at this time, right, if they are not secure, if they are not able to, like defend their borders, right, so the whole country actually goes into a chaos, and the public actually starts, like losing on anything and everything, right. So basic amenities, food security, education, health, everything gets compromised, right. So first and foremost, national security, which like a works for, like a economic strategy and policy, right. So with this, like keeping in these things in mind, you frame, like your national security policy. Fifth, to pay special attention to these sections of our society that may be at the risk of not benefiting adequately from the economic progress. Yeah, so you may be aware of, like the people from, like some strata, the people who are below poverty line, unfortunately, the, like benefits of growth and development of our country has not reached to them in equal proportion the way they should have, right. So to help, actually these sections with the, like a, like a priority is the, like a aim and objective of Niti Aayog. Sixth, to design strategic and long-term policy and program frameworks and initiatives and monitor their progress and their efficacy. The lessons learned through monitoring and feedback will be used for making innovative improvements, including necessary mid-course corrections, right. So yeah, long-term policy and program frameworks, which is cohesive for the growth and development. Seventh, to provide advice and encourage partnerships between key stakeholders and national and international like-minded think tanks, as well as educational and policy research institutions. So in a way, like you can see, like think tanks, the moment it comes at individual level, organizational level, like a country level, like a global level, right. So to bring, like all of them together for, like a common shared, like a platform, giving them a common, like a platform, take their feedbacks and frame, like a policies, like accordingly, right. So bringing, all of the, like a friends and like a equal minded, like countries and organizations, to be the part of, like this whole, like exercise. Eighth, to create a knowledge, innovation and entrepreneurial support system through a collaborative community of national and international experts, practitioners and other partners. So yeah, here the focus is on, like bringing more and more youth to entrepreneurial activities, so that they can go alone and create, like a jobs for many other people, right. So a lot of startup, like a mechanism, a lot of, like new companies are coming up, and such like R&D activities are happening. Okay, so with the help of, like such things, like how to, like nurture a new, like economic model which is based on, like entrepreneurial, like activities more and more, right. Objective 9, to offer a platform for the resolution of intersectoral and interdepartmental issues in order to accelerate the implementation of the development agenda. 10th, to maintain a state-of-the-art resource center, be a repository of the research on good governance and best practices in sustainable and equitable development, as well as help their dissemination to stakeholders, right. So state-of-the-art resource center. 11th, to actively monitor and evaluate the implementation of programs and initiatives, including the identification of the needed resources, so as to strengthen the probability of success and scope of delivery, right. 12th, to focus on technology upgradation and capacity building for implementation of programs and initiatives. So major focus on technology. 13th, to undertake other activities as may be necessary in order to further the execution of the national development agenda and the objectives mentioned above. So overall, keeping national development agenda at forefront and doing whatsoever, like necessary to achieve that. Let's see some features, of Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog is developing itself as a state-of-the-art resource center with the necessary knowledge and skills that will enable it to act with speed, promote research and innovation, provide strategic policy vision for the government, and deal with contingent issues. It is supported by an attached office, Development Monitoring and Evaluation Organization DMEO, a flagship initiative, Atal Innovation Mission AIM, and an autonomous body, National Institute of Labor Economic Research and Development NILERD, right? Niti Aayog's entire gamut of activities can be divided into four main heads: policy and program framework, cooperative federalism, monitoring and evaluation, think tank, knowledge and innovation hub. So as we saw in the founding premises, for the Niti Aayog, it is divided majorly into four, policy and program frameworking, cooperation federalism, monitoring and evaluation, taking feedback, and lastly, acting as a think tank, for knowledge and innovation hub, right? The different verticals, cells, attached and autonomous bodies of Niti provide the requisite coordination and support framework needed to carry out its mandate. The list of verticals and cells is given below, that you can see here, the parts of Niti Aayog. So it will give you a look like how it works also, and what are the major verticals, under, like a Niti Aayog. Administration, agriculture and allied sectors, aspirational districts program cell, communication and social media cell, data management and analysis, frontier technologies, economics and finance cell, education, governance and research, governing council secretariat and coordination, industry 1, industry 2, infrastructure connectivity, infrastructure energy, natural resources and environment and island development, project appraisal and management division, public-private partnership, rural development, science and technology, social justice and empowerment and voluntary action cell, social sector 1, skill development, labor and employment, urban development, social sector 2, health and nutrition, women and child development, state finances and coordination, sustainable development goals, water resources, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, land resources. So these are the major verticals. So you can see, like a clearly laid out over here. Apart from other, like a regular, like a verticals, we have SDGs also as one of the, like a vertical inside Niti Aayog. Okay, and you may be aware, Niti Aayog is the nodal agency at, like Indian national level to implement and carry out, like a plans and programs and even executions for SDG related initiatives. Yeah. So under SDGs, you can see what are the different, like other aspects on which, like a Niti Aayog actually focuses and works, and these are available on the website of Niti Aayog, in public domain. I would recommend, like browsing through this and seeing and reading their reports. So India specific actually SDG implementation and success stories you can find in detail on this portal. So you can see inside these SDGs, what are the other, like things in which, like information is available. We have India MPI baseline report, SDG India Index 2020 to 2021, an overview of SDGs, dashboard e-guide, FAQs, India's commitment to the SDGs, SDG Conclave 2020, SDG India Index Report 2019 to 20, mapping of the ministries of goals and targets, national and regional consultations. You can see over here in these ones, you can have detailed overview of the state level or regional level, like a performances. Then Niti Aayog's role, SDG India Index Dashboard, seminar on sustainable development goals and their evaluation, United Nations High Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development. So Niti Aayog's role, Niti Aayog has the twin mandate to oversee the adoption and monitoring of the SDGs in the country and promote competitive and cooperative federalism among states and UTs. The task at the hand of NITI Aayog is not just to periodically collect data on SDGs, but to proactively realize the goals and targets. The Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation has already undertaken a parallel exercise of interaction with the ministries to evolve indicators reflecting the SDG goals and targets. NITI Aayog, in consultation with MOSPI, has prepared a draft mapping of the goals and targets as an initial step. Further, the centrally sponsored schemes, including the core of the core and optional schemes implemented by the states, and some of the recent initiatives undertaken by the central government have been mapped. Moreover, ministries and states are implementing central sector schemes and state schemes, respectively, aligned with one or more SDGs. This mapping can be accessed on NITI Aayog's website. So, the nodal bodies for institutionalizing SDGs, so you can see here at the top we have NITI Aayog at national level, right? Mapping targets to programs and policies, target setting. Coordination with central ministries, assigning data responsibilities. Third, coordination with state planning departments, biannual reviews. Supporting states in developing monitoring framework, facilitating partnership building, right? So at national level, these are like the activities which NITI Aayog actually carries out. And then at subnational level, at the bottom part you can see planning department comes into the role, which carry out like these four activities, namely SDG vision roadmap for the state, mapping targets with departments, target setting. Second, coordination with line departments and districts, forming thematic task groups. Third, aligning budget allocation with the SDG priorities, coordination of periodic reviews. Fourth, capacity building of state and district level officials. Localization imperative, if you see this, like how it works. So we have cooperative and competitive federalism on the top, then localized solutions here, improved state capacity, right? So governments at different levels shoulder different responsibilities. Localization enables each level to play its role, promotes healthy competition at subnational level, and it contributes to localized SDGs, localized development here. Localized solution, no one size fits all allow developing local solutions. So see, localization is always a key to achieving like a greater extent of success, right? Because whichever policy and whichever guideline comes, if it is not built and rectified at the place, it may or may not carry out like a successful achievements, right? So because there are always some localized factors which play a role in any or any such similar situations. That's why it says no one size fits all. So you need actually tailor-made, customized approaches for an effective implementation. Facilitates peer learning. Subnational entities can learn from each other. Lastly, improved state capacity. All levels of government get the opportunity to improve their capabilities, for instance, statistical capacity. And together, it gives a rise to the localized agencies. Next point comes, what are the steps in localization at subnational level, states and union territories? So you can see from here, step 1, sensitization, creating awareness, SDG related awareness generation of the leadership. So the first and foremost, unless and until people are not aware of this, how are they going to work for it? Okay, so it's very essential to inform about SDGs to each and every a person, and that's why we are undertaking this course. That's how I envisioned this course and put it up on SDGs, because you can only be part of it once you are aware of it. So the first and foremost thing before doing anything is to know about it in proper detail, right? So that's sensitization. Second, state and district indicator frameworks, nodal department coordinated drafting of SIF and DIF, consultation with NITI Aayog. Third, Improve data ecosystem. The state UTs improve its data collection system and widens the quantum of indicators captured. So, factual information about indicators and how they are performing over the years can give you, like the clear picture of what to do next. So, the next point, step 4, building partnerships. State UT enters into partnership with knowledge partner, technical agency for developing dashboard. Fifth, SDG coordination center. Set up a center within the SDG nodal department to coordinate all SDG related initiatives. Step 6, operationalize dashboard. Activate the dashboard and utilize it for any time SDG reviews. So this dashboard, will help you in a real time, like what are the number of activities going on, with which location, who are the stakeholders, etc. What is the success rate, case studies, all of those things, so that it is a one, like a stop solution for all sorts of queries and knowledge. Step 7, review mechanisms. Set up SDG review mechanism at the chief secretary or chief minister level so that it can be controlled with a stronger will. Lastly, step 8, ranking of districts. Undertake periodic, preferably annual, ranking of districts on SDG performance. So taking stock of situation, taking feedback, assessment and evaluation is also essential. Otherwise, all of these exercise, may go bust, right? If it is not bearing any fruit, we need like a revision in the policy or implementation strategies itself, right? So effective actually monitoring and assessment is essential for achieving a proper success.